Hello everybody, it's Foxy speaking, and welcome to another episode of Foxy's Fun Inspirational Chats. And today I will be your host. And in this episode, this is about a little cat who lived in a little village where the garden overlooks a railway line on a grassy hillside, fenced luckily so that no one would fall over, heavily fenced, so that no one would fall over and hedge-wise. Nobody could see the railway because of the hedges blocking it, but they could hear the trains clickety-clack, 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 in the outside backgrounds and things. But the cat, however, was able to get through the hedges and always observe the railway lines and observe the trains whenever he wanted to, whenever he was going out and about. He liked to think of himself as the railway cat. And the railway cat's name was Robert the railway cat. Although he was not famously known as the railway cat because he did it all on his own, watching the trains whenever he went through the hedge. But he never went near the railway line, he always stood well back. Although he wasn't close to the railway lines, which would have been dangerous, he would always watch it from a view. After going through the hedge, he would watch it from a certain view where he could just properly see the lines and he'd be able to see the trains go by. He'd hear the trains go choo-choo, and zoom, 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 and all that sort of thing, and would sit down with interest watching them zoom by and speed by, or clickety-clack, and rocket past along the line. It always brought him tremendous interest, and Robert always felt as if he'd had his own hobby. Though he was not famous, he always felt as if he had his own hobby of train spotting, watching the trains whenever he got the chance, whenever going out, or if he was not going to catch birds or chase mice around and all that. Train spotting and watching trains was nothing more than one of the only things Robert the cat was interested in. But one day, as he went to the hedge to watch some trains, there were no running trains. He thought, oh well, I think I'm probably going to watch some trains as I go along, or as I go out. So he sat beside his train spotting spot, got himself comfortable, and waited. But still there were no trains going by. He waited and waited. He was not determined to give up, but he did not realise there was a rail replacement bus services going on along the main line his home residence is located nearest to. After a good few hours of waiting, Robert began to feel tired and thought, I don't think there are going to be any trains running today, he thought sadly. I'm going to go home. Robert the cat trundled over to his home. After he put his head through the cat flap door, he walked sadly into the house. He was frowning as he walked along. When he walked into the living room, the television was on. There was a television show being watched. More likely, a sitcom being watched. But it was not enough to amuse Robert in his likening interest. His owners saw the depressed face on their dearly loved cat. Come on, Robert, said his owner. Come on, as they tapped the sofa, and Robert, though still not happy, began to walk and trundle over and leapt onto the sofa and got and sat on his owner's lap, and she began to stroke him in tender affection towards him, and he began purring and fell asleep. But once the sitcom was over, it was really not enough to cheer up Robert. Although he liked his owners and liked being around with his owners, he just could not help but feel so sad about there being no trains running. So the male owner decided to go out. He left the house and the front door closed. He knew his owner was going out, but Robert didn't know where exactly he was going. He went into the bedroom, sat on the bed and began to daydream what his owner could be up to. Maybe he's going to try and get the trains running again, Robert thought. Or maybe he's going to repair the railway line if it's broken. Those were all imaginative thoughts Robert had conclusively come up with, but obviously they were not almost likely going to be false and not particularly true. The front door closed as the owner had come back. It was the husband of the wife. "Robert!" called the man of the master. "Robert!" Robert heard his owner call his name, and he leapt off of the bed and walked over to his owner. "Look what I've got for you, you youngster," he said. "Look what I've got for you, my handsome boy." He then put the shopping bag on the table. As Robert watched his owner unload everything out of the shopping bag and set it up on the table, Robert saw, after about half an hour of watching, Robert saw that his owner had cleverly set up a model railway on the table in his owner's bedroom. The model railway was about medium size, where it had a farm, a little farm-like village, a little duck pond, and a little station, and a little city. The model train set fascinated Robert a great deal. But although the railway was set up, the master had to put the train on. This is the train, a model train, and so he put the model train on and put a couple of carriages to it, and then he turned the electricity power on, as it was an electrically powered model railway. And once he turned the mains on for the electricity to get working, he began to turn the dial slightly, and the model engine began moving. It began to move around and around the train set, and Robert watched with great interest the model train set roaming around the table. "This looks interesting," Robert thought. "A train, though a toy train that moves." Robert thought he was in heaven as he continually watched the model train circle round and round the medium circular-like train set, since there were no main line running trains on that very day. The days passed, and Robert decided to go out again. When he went out across the garden and through the hedge, he saw the train zooming and speeding and rocketing by along his nearest main line. "The trains are running again," Robert thought happily. "Oh my goodness, something got sorted out." Robert was the happiest cat he had felt in days. He pulled a big kitty-like smile he had not been able to pull in quite a good few days. "Oh, thank you, Cat Lord," Robert said happily. What more could a pussycat ask to see some wonderful trains zooming by along the main line? Now Robert knew that if the trains were not running on the main line because of certain issues that had arisen, he now knew that he also had a model railway to keep him amused whenever the mainline trains were not running. So that way he would not be too upset and not be too bored, since he loved nothing more than watching trains, though he liked to do the usual kitty cat things and other kitty cat-like things. His possessive enthusiasm and possessive interest will always be his possessive enthusiasm of trains and the main line and other branch lines and things. The end. Thanks everybody indeed for watching. I know it's not a continuation of what I'm lately been doing for the Foxy's Fun Inspirational Chat series, but it will certainly continue again at some point. Thanks everybody indeed for watching, and I shall certainly see you in the very next video. Ta-ta, another time. From Foxy.